catching up with some of your favorite child stars, including Barry and Susan from the Brady Bunch, Soleil from Punky Brewster, and Johnny and Kathy from Family Affair. Our next guest literally grew up on the Love Boat. She played Captain Stubing's daughter, Vicky, for nearly 9 years. Here's Jill Whelan.
Hey, guys.
Were you discovered at an early age? How did they find you?
Well, it's a long story, but I'll make it very, very short. When I was 7 years old, I was doing community theater in Pleasanton, California, and that's how we figured out we would probably know each other. And a lot of the kids were doing commercials, and I wanted to do what they were doing. It just sounded kind of interesting. And so the kids were telling me how to get into them. You send your school picture into this agency in San Francisco called the Brebner Agency. You heard of that place?
Yes, absolutely.
And I didn't tell my mother. I don't know why. I can't remember why I didn't tell her, but I didn't. And she got a letter in the mail from them one day saying, "We'd like to see your daughter for a meeting," and blah, blah, blah. And she said, what is this about? I said, "Oh, it's mine. We have an appointment and you have to take me."
And you were like, how old? You were 7?
I was 7.
Well, you knew what you wanted.
Hey, I only wish I had that same focus now.
Well, all right, but you had it then, and you got this part, and was it like wonderful? Life on the Love Boat?
Oh, it was wonderful.
Yeah?
I mean, we got to travel everywhere. I got to work with incredible people. I mean, Ann Miller. I got to dance with Ginger Rogers. I got to sing with Ethel Merman, Douglas Fairbanks, and all those names. I mean, a lot of young people now won't know who they are, but I was an old movie buff, so these people was like, you know, it was. I was in love with Douglas Fairbanks. I was in love with that man. It was just, you know, a 9-year-old. It was kind of an interesting situation, but
It worked for a long
that's another show.
Yeah, another show.
Well, we'll do a follow-up on that.
May, December.
Was there any downside to all of this as far as you saw it back then? I mean, did you feel like you couldn't have a normal life? Did you feel like you didn't have a normal life?
Well, you know, people ask me that all the time. They say, "Do you ever feel like you missed out?" And I don't have a frame of reference other than the one that I lived. So to me, everything that happened is totally normal. Everybody goes to work at 9 years old, and everybody has a tutor on the set. That's the way it is, you know.
Yes, go ahead.
No, I was also going to say, you can be a kid and also have a life on the set. I hear a lot of these stories, and you know, some kids are unfortunate and they don't get a chance to have the whole life of a kid. Sometimes their parents don't let them have a life outside of the business. Luckily for me, I had a family that cared enough to send me to camp every summer, to let me play with my friends, you know.
Well, that's the difference, you know. I mean,
exactly.
my mother, when I was not working, I was in school with the other kids. I did school plays with all the other kids.
Right.
Yeah, me too. You know,
you're all like so well-adjusted, aren't you? They are, aren't they well-adjusted? Come on.
Prozac. No, I'm kidding.
All right, we're going to jump into the break. I know the audience has a lot of comments and questions, and I want to ask you, Jill, because it's been rumored, reported, whatever, National Enquirer, who knows, that you suffered from an eating disorder, and we're going to ask you to put that story to rest. When we come back, we'll be back.
Harrison.
Back now, tripping down memory lane with some of your favorite child stars who are all grown up, including Jill Whelan. What's this about the eating disorder? Did you suffer from an eating disorder?
Only when it was not good food.
She was hungry all the time.
No, that's right. No, you know, it really got kind of blown out of proportion. What had happened was that a group of my girlfriends, we got together and we were all actresses, and we put together this piece for Entertainment Tonight. And it was a very nice piece about the perceptions of women and the bodies of women in the 90s and in the 80s, and how difficult it was to grow up if you didn't particularly fit into that frame, no pun intended. And I was working with people like Cheryl Ladd and Jacqueline Smith, who were all these very svelte sort of, you know, ballet-type dancer bodies. I'm German, Irish, and Scottish and Swedish. We are peasant people.
We love you for that.
You know, I mean, it's, you know, and I personally, my belief is, and maybe it's because that's my figure, a woman should have a little bit more of a shape to her. And that's only a philosophy that I've grown into. But, you know, to compare the difference.
But the point is, you weren't personally mired in misery because you suffered from...
I was never mired down with pain, and I didn't, as they said, shoot pregnant woman's urine into my body for diet things.
I missed that story.
Oh, it was a pip.
All right.
For children who are interested in going into show business, what advice do you give them?
Only let them do it if they want to do it.
And have them go to college.
Yeah, and more importantly, if they are going to go into show business, read up a lot on child psychology books, because kids put into a business where it's all adults, it's very, very hard to keep the reality there, which is the most important thing.
Keep loving them no matter what, you know, and it takes a lot of rejection, and it's hard at times. But if you love them and they know you love, you know, I mean, you just gotta have a lot of love.
Yeah, and their sense of reality, make them realize that they are a wonderful person inside without having anything to do with what other people say to them, you know? Because a lot of kids, when the show stops and they stop getting the accolades and the kudos, they realize they base their importance on that.
Jill, didn't ask what you're doing right now. What are you doing now?
I am a production coordinator for Madison Square Garden for entertainment there.
And do you still? I asked Soleil if she had a fantasy role. Do you have a fantasy role that you'd like to still play?
Well, I'm starting to live it out, and I'm excited about it. I'm also a singer, and I'm working right now on an R&B album. Wow. So,
which you all now have to go out to buy, right?